Welcome to Balanced But Barely, a podcast for anyone who looks like they have it all together, but internally has about 47 tabs open in their mind. I'm Carla Jean Lundgren, and each episode we talk real-life stress, anxiety, and self-regulation in a way that actually makes sense. You'll walk away with practical tools to feel calmer, think clear, and create more balance without needing to hide underneath your weighted blanket by 2 p.m. You're not just stressed. Your inner voice might be running the whole show, and honestly, it's time we talk about it. Welcome to Balanced But Barely. I'm Carla Jean, and I'm really glad you found your way here. Today is a very special day, as it's the first episode and the birthday of Balanced But Barely. It is also the anniversary of the day in which I was diagnosed with breast cancer 2 years ago. I picked this day to launch the podcast as a way to reclaim the date as something positive instead of something negative. Thank you for being here and celebrating the birth of this podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Poshmark, the #1 social marketplace where you can buy, sell, and connect with people whose style you love. Go to Poshmark.com and use the promo code CarlaJean143. That's CarlaJean143 to sign up and receive $10 just for you. Hello. It is time for the weekly Balanced But Barely moment. Each week, what happened that had you balanced but just barely? So I'm going to share mine, and I'd love to hear yours as well. So comment, send me a message. Let me know what your moment during this week was that you were balanced, but just barely. So we had our last soccer game to attend for one of the kids, and it was, I didn't know about it. It was a last minute thing. And so plans got shifted quite quickly, which, 'tis life. But physically, I just wasn't feeling very well. I was super, super tired. It was cold outside, but you can't miss the last game. So we go to the last game and the team's not doing too good, guys. The team has seen better days. So the game was just, it was a struggle. It was a struggle to stay present. So all I could focus on was how uncomfortable I was and how tired I was and how cold I was. And all I wanted to do was to go lay in the car or go home and swing back and pick them up, afterwards. And I thought, well, I can't do that. So I can either sit here and be miserable and lose my mind, or I could make a decision. So I chose to get up and walk around, and not just walk around, but do it mindfully. I was very intentional with my steps. I was very intentional with what I was noticing around me as far as sounds and sights. It did speed up the time a bit. It helped my mental state. It helped my nervous system. That is my balanced but barely moment. Nothing super dramatic, had to be a grown-up, couldn't throw myself on the ground and throw a temper tantrum. So please share, what was your moment this week? I know you had one. And maybe just picking one is going to be hard, but share with me. I'd love to share them on the next episode. So each episode, I will share mine. And if you share yours with me, I'm happy to share that with others. All right, so let's dive in. Let me ask you something. Have you ever said something about yourself like, I'm just always stressed, or I'm the strong one, so I'll figure it out, or even I don't have time to slow down? And you didn't even question it. It just rolls off the tongue. It just felt true. Today we're talking about the power of words, not just in a fluffy, let's just think positive kind of way, but in a real, this is affecting your nervous system and your identity kind of way. Because the truth is, the way you speak to yourself and the way you communicate with others is shaping your reality more than you probably realize. And if you're someone who feels overwhelmed, constantly on, the one everyone depends on, but inside you're like, I don't even know who I am anymore, this episode is for you. By the end of this, you're going to walk away with a new way to understand how your words shape your identity, a simple way to communicate without creating more disconnection, and a practical tool to reframe your thoughts so you can actually feel more calm, grounded, and in control. Not perfect, not fixed, just a little more supported. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so first we need to talk about this idea that your words become your identity. Not overnight, but through repetition. Because every time you say something like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm anxious, I can't handle this, your brain is like, cool, got it. This is who we are now. And listen, this isn't about shaming you for how you talk to yourself. It's about awareness. Because a lot of you've been the strong one for so long. So long that your identity got built around survival and not around who you actually are. Brené Brown, famed researcher on shame, shares a story on her podcast called Unlocking Us about a time when her daughter's kindergarten teacher says to her during a craft project, "You're messy." And Ellen, Brené Brown's daughter, responds with, "I'm not messy. I made a mess." In this example, Brené Brown explains how the first statement, "you are messy," attaches shame and guilt to one's identity, whereas Ellen's correction of "I made a mess" states an action not attaching a value to one's identity. This made me think of a time when I was young and my mom would say to me, "You are selfish." Now, to be fair, I don't remember the context in which she said it or how many times it was said, but as a card-carrying adult, it has stuck with me for decades. After years of introspection work, I believe that my people-pleasing and my hyper-accommodating behavior stemmed from that one phrase, "You are selfish." I was young, and the way in which my mom said it, I knew it was something I didn't want to be. It felt yucky and bad and unlovable. So I made a choice for the next 30 years or so to prove that I wasn't selfish, and not in a healthy way at all. Not in a "I joined the Peace Corps and donated a kidney" way. It was more of in a letting people walk all over me, in a take the blame for everything that went wrong in a relationship way, even when they cheated on me. Also in a not letting anyone see the real me, because the real me must be yucky, sad, and unlovable. Now, I know my mom is going to listen to this, and I haven't even shared this story with her. She will feel bad, and that is not my intention. My mother had me when she was 18 years old. She was a baby herself, and then lost my father to a drunk driver on Christmas Eve when she was only 3 months pregnant with me. I know my mom loves me, and I also know that she did the best she could. It took me more heartbreak and breakdowns that I would even like to admit to finally get to my breakthrough. Words matter. Not just the actual words, but the way in which they are sequenced into a statement and directed at oneself or to another person. I don't believe there was anything wrong with my mom expressing to me that she felt I was being selfish at that moment, doing or saying whatever it was that I was doing or saying. But I have come to understand that there's a difference in expressing that someone is selfish, i.e., it's something permanent inside of them that feels ugly, or that the action someone is taking is selfish, i.e., it's separate, it's temporary, and it can be altered. My people-pleasing and hyper-accommodating behavior was me trying to hide the ugly, selfish monster that lived inside of me. I did everything and anything so no one would see her, and in doing so, I lost myself and almost lost my will to live. When I realized that no such monster lived inside of me, and whatever made my mom say that to me was her opinion and not fact, I began to observe how I spoke to myself and others, especially my son. And wouldn't you know it, I had a lot of work to do. Here's how I learned to gently shift it. So instead of saying, "I am overwhelmed," Try, I feel overwhelmed right now. Do you hear the difference? The first one sounds like an attack on your identity and is loaded as much of as a twice-baked potato to the brim with shame and failure, and it's giving up vibes right around the corner. The second statement is a temporary state and feels much more lighter and much more manageable. And guess what? You guys, hey, your nervous system can tell the difference. Your nervous system can tell the difference between the two statements, and it responds accordingly. Because when you say, I am overwhelmed, your body goes, oh, this is permanent. Let's prepare for that. But when you say, I feel overwhelmed, your body says, okay, this is something we can move through, and let's prepare for that. You might feel stuck, but you're not stuck. You've just been speaking in a way that makes you feel like you are. So here's a simple practice called catch and change. Catch the phrase you repeat the most and then do the work to change it. So here's an assignment for you for this week. Over the next week, pay attention to any repetitive sayings that you hear yourself repeat or that you say to others that are framed in a negative and identity attacking manner. And honestly, if you feel safe to do so, I would encourage you to ask one of your closest friends or loved ones to see if they notice something that is somewhat of your catchphrase that they hear you repeat often. And then I want you to gently ask yourself as you review this list, maybe there's one on the list, maybe there's many. I want you to ask yourself, is this helping me or keeping me stuck? No judgment as you go through and answer that question and answer it honestly. Is this helping me or keeping me here? And if you agree that it's keeping you stuck, change it to something that feels a little bit more supportive. Not fake, not forced, just more honest. I saw this quote from an unknown author that reads, "When you are a good swimmer, no one knows when you are drowning." I'm going to stop there for a moment and let that sink in. No pun intended, guys. When you are a good swimmer, no one knows when you are drowning. Metaphorically, I am an Olympic gold medalist in keeping my head above water in the middle of a hurricane. And sometimes they're not even my hurricanes. I would voluntarily jump into someone else's hurricane to save them, but that's a whole nother episode. I was such a good swimmer that even when I said the words out loud, I'm so tired, I don't know how much longer I can do this. No one came to my aid. I looked fine, I acted fine, but I was not fine. And what did I do? I blamed myself. Did I not say it right? Did I not say it to the right person? Maybe their stuff is heavier than my stuff. And as I soaked in that self-loathing bath, I realized two things. One, it was no one else's responsibility to save me but my own. Now, we all need help from time to time, even if it's hard for some of us, not me, of course, to ask for help. But again, a whole nother episode. And number two, what people heard and what I thought I was verbally and non-verbally communicating were two different things. Most of us were taught to communicate like this. You never listen to me. You always do this. Why would you say that? And what happens? The other person gets defensive, understandably. You feel even more unseen, understandably, and now everyone's nervous system is activated. Cool. I love that for us, right? So instead, let's try this. When this happens, and then just speak the facts. I felt, insert your actual emotion. I need, and this is the important part, I should have said, or, oh, I don't like that word should. We'll talk about that in another episode. But when I was drowning, using the I need and then insert exactly what I need would have been a lot more helpful. And then finally, would you be willing to, and then enter your request? So instead of you never listen to me, it becomes when I was talking and got interrupted, I felt really unheard. I need connection. Would you be willing to let me finish? It's vulnerable, it's honest, and yeah, it might feel uncomfortable at first, but it creates safety. And safety is what allows real connection. So this is a quick side note. I don't even know if this is relevant or if this is helpful, but one of my favorite things to say to a close friend when they're going through a rough time is, how can I support you right now? I used to say, and a lot of us say this, let me know if there's anything I can do. And that just felt really insincere and kind of like I was putting the onus on them to figure out how I could feel helpful. I felt like shifting that language and saying, how can I support you right now, felt more genuine. And it gives them the opportunity to say, nothing comes to mind at this time. Thank you. That's okay if they don't need my support, and they should be able to say that to me. So, side note, not sure if that's helpful, but wanted to offer that up. Okay, one last piece, reframing. And before you roll your eyes, this is not toxic positivity. We're not slapping good vibes only on real struggles. We're choosing thoughts that actually support us. Because a lot of you are walking around with thoughts like, if I slow down, everything will fall apart. Or it's just too late for me, or I'm selfish for wanting more. And your body is reacting to every single one of those thoughts as if they are facts. When my son was 3, his father and I got divorced, and I was finding myself struggling to provide for the two of us financially in a way that I was not proud of. I couldn't buy the things my friends were buying or go on trips that they were going on. And it made me feel so poor, like really poor, like with a capital P. In all honesty, I wasn't poor because I was able to provide everything we needed, but I definitely felt left out. I didn't like it. So each time a friend asked me to join them for brunch or a day of shopping in Seattle or to go on a road trip, my response always was, I can't, I'm poor. Which filled me with shame and jealousy and promptly started the pity party for one that I frequented often. Every time my son would ask for the latest video game or Air Jordans or just simply wanted to order anything off the menu that wasn't on the dollar menu, my response was, we can't, we are poor. Oh, good Lord, I was bringing this child into my shame storm. That's when I heard the Brené Brown story that I mentioned earlier about not attaching negative words to your identity. At that moment, something clicked and I realized 2 things. 1, I was the one keeping myself in that shame cycle, not my paycheck. It was me. And 2, I wasn't poor. I was just on a budget that didn't allow for certain things. From that day on, when presented with a request that involved spending money that I didn't have budgeted, my response was, that's not in my budget, but someday it will be. That reframing shifted everything for me. So here's the reframing process. Step 1, acknowledge what's real. I'm overwhelmed. That's real. Step 2, remove the judgment. Not I'm failing or I should be better. Again, that should word. We're going to talk about that in another episode. And then step 3, add a supportive truth. Say something like, I'm learning how to support myself differently. You're not lying to yourself. You're expanding the truth because both can exist. You can be overwhelmed and be learning at the same time. You can be struggling and growing at the same time. You can be healing and still have hard days. So before we close, I want you to ask yourself, what is one sentence I've been living by that I'm ready to let go of? And what is one sentence I'm willing to try instead? You don't need to be a different person. You just need to start speaking to yourself like someone you care about. Please listen to me when I say this. You are not broken. Thank you so much for listening to the very first episode of Balanced But Barely. I am your host, Carla Jean Lundgren. A special shout out to one of our affiliates, Find the Good, a clothing brand determined to spread love and awareness one awesome sweatshirt at a time. Please go check them out at findthegood.com and use promo code CarlaJean143. That's CarlaJean 143 at the checkout for an exclusive 10% discount because you deserve it. All right, that's what I have for you today. If you're sitting there like, wow, I feel slightly called out, but understood and not gonna lie, kind of like it, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And go ahead and send this to a friend because nothing says I care about you like a podcast that gently points out the chaos within. You can connect with me on Instagram at _CarlaJean143 for real life moments, encouragement, and behind the scenes. For more support, tools, and personalized wellness check-ins, head to www.carlajean143.com. And don't forget to follow me on YouTube at CarlaJean143. Until next time, take a deep breath, drink some water, and remember, you don't have to have it all together to keep going. This is Balanced But Barely, and we're figuring it out together.